San Francisco 49ers and Kansas City Chiefs will be playing at Miami Gardens, Florida. This is going to be a great matchup. When you look at this on paper, it just looks tremendous offensively for both teams. They can put points on the board. Two great quarterbacks, Jimmy Garoppolo and Patrick Mahomes, have had terrific seasons this year. But when you look at this team and break it down, let's just start off with the coaching aspects right off the top, Coach. You've got one coach in Kyle Shanahan, a young coach that's never been there. Then you've got that old master, Andy Reid. This is his second time in the Super Bowl since 2005 and has been to a lot of playoff games in his career. Who has the advantage?
Well, I have to think that we go to Andy Reid, even though he hadn't been to the Super Bowl in 15 years. He's the seventh winningest coach all time, but he's never won a Super Bowl and only been there one time. However, Mark, I think the coach that has the best advantage in a big game like this is the one that has the best team and prepares them the most. I think that Shanahan's done a tremendous job, but you cannot underestimate the staff at Kansas City because their offensive line coach is a young man that was one of my captains at Notre Dame, Andy Heck. He's the offensive line coach, and he's got a tough task in him, but it's whoever team performs the best, who gets them ready the best.
When I look at both of these defenses, they're both playing at a high level right now. Steve Spagnuolo doesn't get enough credit at Kansas City. The way that they've been turning it on in the last couple of weeks, they're hitting their best defensive stride right now. And San Francisco, with all those young players up front, Nick Bosa and those young faces roaming around that are making plays defensively, I think this may favor a team that can run the football because the latest that I've heard, Coach, the weather's supposed to be 60% chance of rain. So should that lean towards the San Francisco 49ers since they're the second best rushing team in the NFC and the last two playoff games they've rushed for over 230 yards?
I agree with you completely about the defense at Kansas City. You know that in the playoff games, now the 49ers have 9 sacks. Kansas City Chiefs have 8 sacks. In addition to that, they faced King Henry, held him to 67 yards. Now, granted that the 49ers offense presents some different problems because they run that jet sweep. They go from sideline to sideline with Sanders and Samuels as well as Mosby, who gained over 240 yards, 4 touchdowns in the playoff game last week. He only had 720-some yards in the entire year. He did average 5.6 yards per carry, but Mark, he's been with, I think, 7 different teams. It was always on special teams. All of a sudden, he's a star. But let's look at the Kansas City defense, Mark. Remember this, 3 of the Titans' touchdowns were helped by defensive penalties. 3 times they had offside to keep a drive moving. Another time they had a pass interference call on 3rd and 20, kept the drive moving, and then the fake punt. So I think the Kansas City defense is underrated, but I agree with you that the fact that the 49ers can run the ball from sideline to sideline gives them an advantage. However, Patrick Holmes could run as well. He's the leading ground gainer in their 2 playoff games thus far. And Damian Williams is a very good running back, but they don't even try to run anymore, Mark, because they have such 3 great wide receivers. You look at Watkins, you look at Hill, you look at Kelce. These are outstanding.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, Bill Cowher did an interview with Andy Reid, and he had a big poster. And in that poster, all of Andy Reid's biggest games, one common denominator: they outrushed their opponent and won. When they lost the big games, they didn't outrush their opponent. So Andy was like scratching his head. That's a pretty good stat, and he's going to take from that. So I think they're going to run the ball more effectively than most people think because you're right. Patrick Mahomes has been rushing the ball more effectively and more efficiently in the playoffs, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that. But when it comes down to quarterback play, Coach, breaking these 2 quarterbacks down, if you had to pick one, Jimmy Garoppolo's had a solid year and he gets it done. But Patrick Mahomes is just a magician with the football. I've got to go with Patrick Mahomes.
Well, you have to look at Jimmy G. He's 23-5 as a starter. You look at Mahomes. He's 27-8 as a starter. I mean, these are outstanding. I think Jimmy G is an excellent quarterback, but he hadn't had to do much. Whereas Patrick Holmes has had to carry that offense with the receivers. He's done an excellent job. Mahomes has made some throws that are absolutely unbelievable, awkward, sidearm, overhead, anything else. And the pass that he hit Watkins on the 60-yard touchdown pass in the playoff game last week was incredible. He was scrambling, looked like he was going to run. All of a sudden, he released the ball so quick. Perfect throw, touchdown. So I agree with you. Both are great quarterbacks. If you don't have 2 good quarterbacks, Mark, you know as well as I do. You played in 4 Super Bowls. You aren't going to get there without a great quarterback.
And here's the other key going into this. Last week, Jimmy G completed 6 out of 8 passing attempts. I had to go back and do a little research in Super Bowls. You know that Bob Greasy only threw it, I believe, 11 times in the Super Bowl. Terry Bradshaw about the same thing. It's tough to win Super Bowls in this era if you're only going to throw it 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 times. I think that might be their Achilles heels if they continue to try to win the ball. If they only throw it that amount of times, it means they're going to probably win the game and they're leading in this football game. But I look at this game when I break it down, coaches. I like Kansas City. I just think this team is hungry right now. I think that they're built for success, not only offensively, defensively, but special teams. Keep an eye on the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win this game. It's going to be a close game, a great battle, high scoring. Kansas City's going to win this game 41-37.
Well, Mark, Kansas City special teams has been good because of the return game, but they allowed a fake punt to succeed. And let's also remember this. The 49ers are averaging almost 45 yards a punt, whereas Kansas City is barely over 40 yards a punt. That's a 5-yard difference every time you punt the football. I think it'll be a great game. And let's not underestimate the fact that Richard Sherman is the best defensive quarter in the NFL. In the entire NFL, he now plays for the 49ers. He has been able to lock down everybody. However, he can't cover all three receivers from Kansas City. He might lock one of them down, but not all three of them. I agree with you. I look for Kansas City to prevail 35-31. It's going to be a great game. I'm looking forward to being there.
I'm going to give you a little insight. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, will be the defensive MVP of the game for Kansas City. Here's another thing, Coach. All you players out there that are in the Super Bowl, this is your Super Bowl, take advice from an old timer. After Wednesday, excommunicate your family and your friends from your life. Get rid of all your Super Bowl tickets. Turn your cell phones off. If you really want to compete and focus and play for a Super Bowl, put the outside world at arm's length right now, because you know what? Once you get to Sunday after 3 hours, you can be immortal for the rest of your life on what you do on that field. Nothing else is more important between now and then.
Very well spoken from an individual who's been there many times as a participant in the Super Bowl, as a member of the Hogs with the Washington Redskins blocking for John Riggins. However, I think that Kansas City has got to use turn back protection. Andy Heck has done an excellent job. He was a tight end for me at Notre Dame, moved him to offensive tackle. He could played 13 years in the NFL. Now he's coaching in the Super Bowl. But with the bull rush that the 49ers use, Mark, if they will run turn back protection, I think they'll be able to protect Mahomes and consequently win the game. But it's going to be great. But I don't know if it's going to be as much fun as it has to be with you this entire year.
It's been a great year. Have a great one, Coach.
Thank you.